Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. I am really excited to start this program, and what I mean by that is for the next 12 weeks, we are going to dive deeper into my book, Hey Radiant Souls. Not the book itself. I'm going to use that as like a jumping off point where we start our conversation, because in that book, if you don't know, haven't read it, there are 12 steps for finding and shining your light. So I want to revisit some of that, let some more channeled information come in, because the book is originally a combination of channeled messages plus my own writings and part of my story and some activities. And I really just want to, now that it's been 4 years since the book came out, really just want to take this time to recalibrate where we are now in the world, how that material can still support us, where we can make some changes, where we can adapt, what we can do with it now, so that we go into the back half of 2024 feeling empowered, emboldened, shining as brightly as we can. So I hope you will stick with me for the next few weeks as we explore this in the Radiance Masterclass, coming up right after this. So I want to start by just teeing up why I wrote this book, what was in it, and it's not even really about the book, but that's going to help us come to this topic together fresh as well. So in spring 2020, if that rings a bell for any of you, what might have been going on in spring 2020, I started having different dreams. I always have messages from my guides. I've known about my guides since I was a little girl, but I started getting really intense dreams with these huge downloads of information that just felt like somebody had handed me a set of encyclopedias and expected me to know everything that was in it, and would go back the next night, it would be a different set of encyclopedias with different information, and I could feel it was a large amount of content, but it came in so quickly that my human mind couldn't really digest it and pull it apart. And that happened for a number of weeks. So as I started to detangle and expand that out, I realized what was being shared with me could be made into a program or a book, and I always saw like an image or a meme associated with like a quick saying, and then from there was an expanded amount of content on like a channeled message and then some other guidance as I started to expand that out even more and really let it breathe. The way I kind of see it is, if you drink wine, sometimes you pour the wine into another container and you decant, you let it air out. I was decanting some of this information. So as that continued to expand, I then realized that there was a sequential order to them, and that stories from my own life coincidentally matched that order and fell into shape. And so I pulled all of that together into a book. I also then developed it into an online class, which you can still access, which has some different information from what we'll talk about here together. And a beautiful group of people went through that program with me in 2021. We got a lot from it. We learned a lot. There's a lot of growth opportunity there. And now, in 2024, like I said in the introduction, I really just want to come back to this. Let's sort through this information. I want to share with you, as you're watching, any new information, any new tips, any ways that you can use in your daily life, very practically apply them in your daily life to connect with your divine radiant light. So I want to start right there. What do I even mean by divine radiant light. For me, that is you. That is the core essence of you. That is your soul. That is your authentic self. When I describe authentic self, to me, that is the absolute expansiveness of who you are in this lifetime, in many other lifetimes, but that absolute unique vibration of you as a soul that is different and can never be replicated, duplicated, copied. Just you, the individuated aspect of you as part of the beautiful collection, puzzle, grouping of light and souls that we all are in one, in divinity. That's the best I can describe it. So it is this spark of you. And what I've learned over many, many years of working with people in an intuitive capacity, often the world doesn't value that spark of us, or we learn to shield it, to hide it, to almost misrepresent it because we may feel vulnerable, we may feel we'll be judged, we may feel we won't be accepted for whatever reason, or we just aren't taught how to connect in with it. And so we start out with the best intentions as a soul, and things happen, and we have programming that comes in from all aspects of our lives, and then we end up at some point in adulthood feeling like, where am I? I don't even feel like myself anymore. I don't even know what I would feel like if I were feeling like myself. And we have this disconnect. And it can be really jarring. It can be really scary. It can be really sad. And I don't want us to not know how to go back and find that part of ourselves. Excavate it. Dig it out from the rubble if you need to. Polish it up and then shine it out so brightly, because in this current time frame, possibly more than any other that we've seen in our lifetimes, it's time. It is time to stand up and be as unique as you are, as radiant as you are, as fearless as you can be, and shine your light. So that's what I want this to be for us, a conversation where we're learning different ways to think about that authentic part of ourselves, that divine radiant light. So the first step in connecting to your divine radiant light is to tune out, to tune in. And there are a couple different layers to this one. Initially, in the 2020 material that I was bringing through, we were talking a lot about like just tuning out the external world and external distractions, because sometimes there's so much that is vying for our attention out in the world that it can be almost like it can spin us around. And that can be advertising, that can be TV shows, movies, anything. It can also be our devices. You know, things are pinging, notifications are going off all the time. It can be also now, as some of us are becoming more aware and more in tune with our experience of the world in an energetic way, I think it is also the frequencies that are around us. So that could be other people who impact that. That could be situations, events, locations, anything. So it's not that we tune everything out and never pay attention to it because we need to focus in on this tiny little bit of ourselves. It's knowing when to engage, when to disengage, how to find that balance for yourself, because we can be very fluid in how we come in and out of that awareness. And one thing I want to highlight here, my team of guides, is like, this is part of it now. Energy flows where your attention goes. So if you think of, I use this example a lot in my private practice when I work with people. If you think of the energy that you have available for yourself as a debit card, and you go and you swipe it and you get a pack of gum, and you swipe it over here and you get some soda and some chips, and then you have this purchase. And if it were an actual debit card, you can track that through the day and you can realize, oh, it's getting low, I need to stop swiping. When we think of ourselves, the energy, the actual physical energy that's available to us, but also the spiritual energy, that piece of our truth that we can bring forward every day without feeling it is being compressed, without feeling it is being misshapen. There's a balance there as well. And so if you are giving your attention to the latest headline, or you are giving your attention to the notifications on your phone that keep coming, or you're giving your attention to fear, or you're giving your attention to a limiting belief that you have, you're divesting all of that goodness of you into those other things. And sometimes that's necessary to exist in our world. But we do that almost too much by habit a lot of the time. So just bringing your awareness to, is that thing that is vying for my attention, is it going to pull me off of my center? Or should I tune it out for now so that I can maintain what I need in this moment for me, for my balance, for my highest and best good? And again, that doesn't mean that you're tuning everything out, but it is to develop that practice with yourself of saying, yeah, I see what that's saying over there, but for me, that's not true. So tuning out to tune into you. And really, sometimes we even learn that, we lose that ability to check in with our own internal compass. So even finding that may be your first step in tuning out, to even just hear the whisper of your own soul, your own heart. What is it that you believe? Yeah, that's what's being said all around you. That's what your friend group says. That's what your colleagues at work say. That's what the world around you says. What do you feel? What do you believe? What are you here at this time on this planet in this physical body? Who are you here to be? And often it's not who someone else tells you should be, or who someone else assumes you are. And it is also not who your limiting beliefs and your self-chatter may try to convince you that you are. But sometimes we don't hear that inner calling so well because of so much else around us. So tuning out to be able to tune in is the first step to even just say, wait a minute, that's not who I am right now in this moment. I want to try something different. I feel a calling to be somebody different. And the different for me is actually the true me. I may have been trying on different aspects of me all along. And then also having the awareness and the forgiveness that, yeah, I did that for a reason, but now I hear a different drumbeat within my soul, or a different echo, a different calling for who I need to be. For you, it may also just be a reconfirmation of, yeah, I am in the center of myself. I am authentic. And when I say in the center of myself, I want us to also not think that that is a bad thing, because sometimes that can feel selfish in and of itself. It can feel like, oh goodness, I am too focused on myself and paying too much attention to my own development, and it's not necessarily selfish. We have to look after ourselves. It's like the thing they tell you on flights when you fly. If the oxygen mask comes down, you have to put your own on before you help somebody else. So if you're in a constant state of fight or flight, or you're in a constant state of depletion, or you're in a state of confusion and not really feeling like your true self, you really can't help somebody else because the full you isn't there. So I want to read the channeled message that my guides sent through for this particular topic back in 2020, and then we'll check in with them and see if they have something else they want to share as well. Hey, Radiant Soul. What do you see when you look into the world you inhabit? Chaos, fear, disharmony? Is that your truth? For make no mistake, the truth is for sale, and the images and sounds you consume always reflect the story someone else chooses to tell you. Tune out to tune in. It's time to stitch together wounds you've neglected for too long. Real healing comes from within. Tissue heals from the inside out, skillfully and purposefully. What is your truth? Where are your shadows? Where are your wounds? What light can be birthed from within you to heal them? Know and speak your own truth, for borrowed words have no weight. And we all need the gravity of your truth for the stitches to hold this time. Tune out to tune in. Find the light switch within yourself so that you can shine. Repair all the damaged layers of yourself so that we can all heal and grow. So let's see what channeled message there might be now to add to that. And then I want to talk a little bit about that, that initial channeling, and so we can check back in. Bright and beautiful beings, hello, and we thank you for the invitation to speak again on this topic. When we advise that the truth is for sale, or the truth that you witness in the world around you is most often, if not always, from someone else's perspective, what we mean by that is everything that you see is somehow edited. It is coming inherently from someone else's perspective. That does not mean it is wrong. That does not mean it is right. And that is the point. We would ask that in whatever you consume, what you watch, what you hear, what you experience, run it up against the gravity of your own truth. As we said in the initial channeling, borrowed words have no weight. Your truth is the gravity that holds you here, that magnetizes you to this moment that is so important for you in connecting at this time with the world, with events, with others around you. And if you are not fully situated and fully seated in that truth of yourself, you are only giving a percentage of who you could give and be and do and express in this world. So we ask here in this first step primarily for discernment. Many of you over the past years have become very skilled with discernment and are easily able to say, that is for me, that is not for me, and make that determination for yourselves. We ask that you also include at this time a release of judgment. If something is not for you, it simply is not for you. That does not color it as wrong. It may be someone else's truth. You do not know their soul's path, their choice. As we often like to say, eyes on your own paper. What is true for you is true for you. What is appropriate for you is appropriate for you. If someone else's story or truth does not match what is right for you, leave it there. Let it be. Do not then cast judgment on it. Do not then feed it more of your precious energy and attention by labeling it, for you would not want your perspective labeled either. Tune out to tune in and hear the precious melody of your own radiant soul. So they touched on it again in the second channeling. One of my favorite parts that came through in the initial channeling is borrowed words have no weight, and we all need the gravity of your truth for the stitches to hold this time. So if you expand that out into the metaphor, I think we all feel that there's potential for change in the world. There's potential for healing to take place. If we aren't coming to ourselves to that world that we want to build is an authentic version of ourselves, we're coming in like lighter than we could. And I don't mean light as a like radiant light kind of way. I mean as like a weight, a gravity. We all need to be fully present in ourselves. We all need to clean up our side of the street, so to speak, so that we are showing up as the best and highest and most authentic version of ourselves in every moment, so that we create that new world together. We stitch together the things that are discombobulated, that are disconnected in the world. That doesn't mean we're putting it back the same way it was, because we're not the same people that we were either, but we have to understand who we are, what our perspectives are, what our truth is, so that we build it and carve it and stitch this new world together in the most beautiful way possible. So I hope that you enjoyed this. We have 11 more steps to progress through together. If you're interested in diving in a little deeper to any of this content, you can find the original Radiance Masterclass on my website. I'll put a link in the description box below. In that class, there are channeled teachings, there are channeled healings, there are activities, guided journal prompts, things like that. And we really expand out on the material a bit more, but I wanted to come to it fresh for 2024 in these YouTube videos so that we have it here and we can connect together. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything. How do you tune out to tune in? What do you think of this concept in general? Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you next time. Bye.